Welcome aboard, everyone. Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Hope you're doing fantastically well wherever you are in the world. We're doing a quick update here on Polkadot. That is DOT on the exchange, DOT. Binance data in front of us here on the chart. Now, we do try and squeeze DOT videos in when we can, but we're putting it in because I've got a couple of items I want to cover just from my personal aspect of Polkadot and what I'm doing with my portfolio. And we'll cover a few things in this chart as well. So let's dive straight into this. Of course, we've had some great movement here over the sort of last couple of weeks. So let's just take a look how far we've come to our rough current position here around $38. We're really pushing that $40 again. So from this point here around the 29th of September to the point where we are today, we've had around about 47% growth, which is absolutely fantastic, of course. And we're quite still far off, not massively, from our previous all-time high. So let's just see how far away that is. I reckon it's about, there we go, let's move that up slightly. So around about 30% left still to go to previous all-time high. So we haven't seen that for quite some time. The most recent point of getting near towards that sort of $40 mark, first of all, was back here on the 14th of September with a high of 38.77. So we're very close, guys. We're very, very close to potentially breaking that, even in the next 24 hours. Might even do it while I'm sat here with you guys on this chart. So before I go into some performance indicators, I just want to sort of emphasize why I'm interested in this right now. So as part of the kind of roadmap for Polkadot, we've got all the Parachains pretty much ready to launch. I think there's 100 slots available for projects to be involved in this, and very much trying to diversificate the layer 1 protocols that Polkadot already has via both itself and the consumer network as well. So those that don't know, I'm just going to read a little quick passage. So connected to an unsecured by the central relay chain, Parachains share and benefit from the security, scalability, interoperability and governance of Polkadot. So there's really big aspects on how important that is and why it's important. So the Parachains can basically allow the connection of external networks, and it could literally be as the bigger networks like Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example. But because it was all kind of like designed on a layer 0 aspect on its chain network, it's basically allowing the security and the interoperability to maximize itself within up to 100 layers on layer 1 blockchains to the parachain. So it's really important that this happens. It basically kind of means as well that you can get a multitude of services operating on one system. So whether it be like gaming, it could be finance, it could be identity, and we covered quite a bit recently in terms of like IOTA's abilities with like digital IDs and things like that. And of course, like there's many other aspects of it as well. And I'm sure energy will come into that at some point. We do a lot of project covering on that with the likes of Energy Web Foundation, this, that, and the other. But once Polkadot's got this ecosystem like fully confirmed and the ability to work on both the public and private networks, it's truly opening itself to even more adoption, in my opinion, and thus essentially rising that price even further. And the scalability, it's essentially allowing more decentralization into the space, and essentially it means that achieving blockchain scalability is really possible within its own ecosystem without having to add more and more layers on top like a lot of other projects do. It's trying to do it in-house and keep this ecosystem in check, really. So I'm really looking forward to this kind of occurring, and the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is I've got a lot in my ledger, and I'm starting to bring more of them back into the exchange now. I don't want to be in a potential position in the coming weeks or certainly throughout this next month. This is basically what I'm anticipating, of course. There's no actual definitive date of when these parachains are going to launch, but in my opinion it's kind of imminent in my mind. And I want to be prepared for that because sometimes networks go down, and if there's too much expansion on the exchange on a particular asset, it can crash and this, that, and the other. So I just want to prepare them, get them in my exchange, and set some limit orders ready. I'm not going to pull them all across. I'm literally just pulling in a few to not necessarily mess about with. I think that's the wrong word, and that's maybe an arrogant word to use, because money should never be looked in an arrogant way. It should be looked as an opportunity that you are doing some risk management on, of course, doing your own research and this and that and the other. But just from my perspective, I've got some available that I want to just bring across and try and slot in here with some limit orders. What am I looking for, guys? Well, I'm certainly looking at some around that sort of £50 mark again. I do think we're going to see some resistance there and perhaps a bit of a drop back once we hit that area. And I will draw these areas in right now, actually, so you know what I'm talking about. So when we start getting to this level, guys, of $50, what you're going to see is a lot of traction around here. I'm hoping there'll be a bit of a wick up on above that. We might even stretch to 51, 52. It really depends on how bullish the momentum is at when we get to this area. So I'm intrigued. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put something around that sort of $48 mark, but on the high end. And I might even put a very small allocation just slightly above in case the wick hits that above that as well. But what's more interesting is how do we then operate from that point on? There could be a potential that we have a bit of a correction. It could come down back to 40 before we take up again, but I'm going to analyze that nearer the time. I don't want to push us too many things into our minds right now, but I just wanted to pull that particular area of interest out into the equation. The next big sort of phase is up here around that $73. I don't anticipate a giant leap within one day, but certainly over a few days period, it could quite easily jump up to that, especially when we're in price discovery mode. And you've seen a multitude of projects quite recently, to be fair, taking that kind of approach with all the bullish mentality, the volume kicking in, and it could just completely spill over into those areas really quickly. So it's really about this area, and that's the reason I'm focused on this particular area. One, because I think the resistance is going to be there because obviously it's the previous all-time high. Two, from my perspective, I was buying a lot of them around that $7 or $8 mark, and it's a good position for me to take some profits on that area. I haven't taken any dot profits since then of purchasing certainly those ones, but for me that's a very nice outtake. And some of you out there might be in similar positions. You may have even got them when they were next to nothing, and fair play. But for the ones that I was purchasing maybe around the $15 mark and the $25 mark, I'm going to be waiting more towards that 100 mark perhaps before I do start taking a few of those out of the equation. And the fib retracement here, and I know a lot of channels out there pushing lots and lots of different numbers. I think we emphasized in a previous video that I was definitely sort of looking in my mind at around that 170 mark as at least as a kind of minimum mark, and I will still stand by that. But of course we've still got a bit of a way to go, and I don't think we may see that kind of over that $100 mark perhaps till maybe the first couple of weeks or mid-December perhaps, and then we might even be pushing beyond that further on. I do think that the run will go on a bit further than December, in my opinion. Let us know what you think in the comments below on that factor. But I just wanted to, like I said, pinpoint an area of interest to me, and that's why I'm pulling some areas of my dots into the exchange ready, because we're seeing some good activity here. The next 24-48 hours are really critical, guys. If we can get a close over this kind of resistance line that we drew in previously around this 37.38, and we get this for maybe 2 or 3 days, I truly think we're going to start pushing up for this next long-term fib retracement line here around the 40.89 mark. The 41.80 kind of area. So let's see, let me draw that in just so you know what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like this area here. This is of real importance in the chart. So we've kind of had the potential to try and do that back here around, as we said, the 14th, 15th September. It couldn't quite get as high as that, and that's where we see the current resistance level while I'm talking through this video. So literally the next couple of days, in my opinion, are really critical. We could start seeing some big movements, and if we start seeing bigger movements than what we're seeing already in terms of the growth pattern, we might start tailing up, because maybe, just maybe, there's some information that people have got hold of in the background or left, right and center that think that the Parachains are on their way to being discovered and announced. That's why I'm preparing. That's not financial advice, it's just my opinion, my thoughts. Let us know what you think. Do you think it's close to having these Parachains launch on their network? What do you guys think? Look at this performance indicator on the right hand side here. 17% up on the week, which is great. I'd like it to be a bit bigger, but hey ho, it is what it is. 8% up on the month, so that's quite good. I think Polkadot quite recently, the last couple of months, have been a bit of a slow burner, but you've got to look at the project. There's people out there saying like it was a dead coin, and I was like, Do you not read like what these things are? You could even forget this year's price. You could just be like holding it for a few years time, which I am holding a bag worth of that, of course, for 4 or 5 years time and beyond. Like, this thing's going to be mental. These prices that we're even seeing right now are crazy low, in my opinion. And I don't understand why people just jump on the bandwagon with all this nonsense terminology, like pulled it out their rear end because it's not going well. It's like, have some patience. Like, charts don't go up constantly all the time. It's impossible. Anyway, rant over. 300% up year to date, guys. So it's in a positive momentum throughout this whole entire year. We've had some fantastic corrections. We've had a very healthy stepping stone approach, to be honest. Arguably, from this kind of point here, and I'm going to guess it's probably the 20th, 21st July, it usually is. There we go, 20th, 25th July. It's usually a great reference point in most of the charts that we cover. And we're seeing the great traction here upwards. So I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I think we're on the cusp, guys, of something really special with Polkadot. Let us know, as I said, in the comments below. Are you holding DOT? What are your plans for the next couple of months? Are you bullish on this, guys? Do you think the Parachains are coming very soon? It's nearly my birthday as well. Imagine if it did it on my birthday in a few days' time. That would be sensational. Guys, we're going to wrap it up there. A couple points, actually, sorry, before I rush off. The RSI showing some momentum here, that there's plenty of room to grow. We're seeing a nice little U shape here. Something's happening, in my opinion. The volumes are kicking in. The MACD is slightly widening. I think it's about to be systems goes, guys. Let us know what you think. Wrapping it up there. Super bullish on Polkadot, as always. Love you guys. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.